Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. StratGamer here, providing you with new gaming content about Anno 1800 today. Today, we'll talk about my top 10 specialists for the Townhall in the Old World. What they do, why I like them, and how can you get them. As a bonus, at the end, I will also share some lesser known fact about the Asset Viewer. So stay tuned. Before we get started, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to discover, master strategy, city building, and simulation games, that's exactly what I'll be covering in this channel, StratGamer. So subscribe to never miss a new video. And please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Share what you hope to learn in this video, a question that you may still have, or anything else that's on your mind really. I promise I'll do my best to answer each and every one of you. Okay, so let's get started. Let's move to the old world. As you can see here, I have a somewhat smaller island where I've built all the population that I need for the old world. So when you get to, let's say, mid to end to the beginning of the end game in Anno 1800, you start to need a lot of population of all the different tiers. And also, you start to want to specialize your island. For example, I have an island specialized on population, I have an island specialized on industrial production, I have an island focusing on farming, etc., etc. And as you can see, I have a lot more workforce available thanks to this island than what I need. So when you get to really end game, you can even delete an island like this. But before that, it is pretty useful. So let's get into some of these very well-known and must-have specialists. And you'll see some of them used in those town halls. The actor here, Mr. Garrick, the brasserie patrons. These are some of the well-knowns that we will get into. And to show you the details, I'll use the internal asset viewer, which you can find in the item tab here, where you can research. Let's research first the actor, for example. Here she. If she doesn't appear, it may be because you don't have it in your game, you don't know her. So don't forget to click on the unknown slash identified, so make sure all of these are checked. And you may also want to click here on all island to see if you have it somewhere else, and then maybe you can transport it. And you just have to click on item location here, and you can see where she is used or where she is not used, and you could get it. For example, here I have two in this trading post. I could go get and bring back. Now let's look, why is she now let's get into my top 10. Number 1, the actor. Affects all old world residences, but as you can see, it's really useful for residences with the varieties theater need, meaning artisan and engineers. And for these, you are provided with a small happiness bonus, which is always useful, but more importantly, you are provided with rum, so you don't need to bring it from the New World, and canned food, which for many at the beginning, especially at the beginning of the game, is a very painful production chain. This is my top 1, the actor. Top 2, the brasserie patron. Again, says affect all residences, As you can see, it says residences with the pub need for freedom. So to be honest, it's mostly for your workers. This is one where it's key. Why? Because it will provide sausage, bread, beer, and church. Now, let's take a look at some worker houses. So if we go to the happiness, we do see the pub, right? So we know it will be affected. And another way to see it is to see it here. And it will give us sausage, bread, beer, and church. If we look, it's sausage, bread, beer, and church. It's almost like half of what's needed. That's why it's my top 2 and very useful. Now, top 3, in particular, in your end game when you really want many investors, I would say top 1, Mr. Garrick. Here he is. Affects engineer resident and investor residence. Produces small bonus income, 5, when you have the bank. Okay, that's nice, but endgame, you probably don't need the money. What's important is, once again, the bonus supply. When they are supplied with the bank, the residences are provided with pocket watches and jewelry. Pocket watches and jewelry. Let's take a quick look at an engineer. So you can see there are pocket watches here, and jewelry is for your investors. And if we look at both of these in the production, so pocket watches here require a lot of gold, but also glass, which you need for many others, like your light bulbs. And then jewelry also require gold and also your pearl. So this is a lot of elements from the new world that if you can avoid, it is great for your production, your transport, your economy. So Mr. Garrick, top 3. Number 4, Fernando Di Faro, as you can see here. In endgame, when you're trying to get as much investor as possible, this is sort of the dream item because it's providing your investors with coffee. And we all know how much investors drink coffee and how much you need to bring at this point. Problem is, it's a unique investor. You can only get one from a quest with the queen, even with the research institute. An item that you can replace him in, even if you see that I don't have it currently my session in this session, is don't leave it. Item that you can transmute. And this one reduces the need for 30%. And as a bonus, also for the Oberon resident, not just your investor residence in the old world. So you may want to look into this one. Let's talk about a few that are definitely less well known, less used, but that personally, at least for let's say my early mid game, I do love. And why do I love them? Because they will increase your workforce. And increasing your workforce is very powerful, right? Because you don't need to feed with um, bread, with alcohol, etc., more people, but you do get more workforce, meaning that you can get more production going. The first one is the von Malkin. Minimum, this one. As you can see, for just a small malus of minus 4 happiness, you get a workforce plus 50% for your worker and artisan residents. That is very powerful. And the second one, very similar, is Malking's back-to-back itinerary for serf. And this one is for all residences, similar effect. So for your worker residents and artisan residents, you could have both and get a 100% workforce bonus. Number 6 in the list, in another one of this book, which you can only get if you have the extension pack, the Anarchist, with Dr. Hugo Mercier. Now you can see it's this one, the historical sophism of the doctrinaire school of communism. What's interesting about this one is workforce plus 40%, so just below the 50% we just saw in the other books, but instead of a negative happiness, it does give you positive happiness, and quite a big one, plus 15. So again, very useful in early mid-game. Now, let's talk about some other endgame favorites of mine. Number 7, Saint. She definitely looks like a saint, and she's bringing you 20% max resident. So this is the opposite of what we just discussed. It's not more workforce, it's more residents. So you will have to feed more people in a sense, but it also increases your population for the same number of houses, or for, more importantly, for the same space. On top of that, also reduces illness and riots um, if your happiness is low, and give you some bonus residence for a few elements. And if you look at the end game for coffee, light bulbs, champagne, steam carriage, chocolates, that's quite a lot. Number 8, Aristelia. You can see I'm using it quite a lot right now. Affect residences, but provides champagne, so it's for your investor mostly. And it also does provide a big happiness bonus, 10, and champagne. Penny is not the hardest um, production to do, but it does, when you have a lot of investor, it do require quite a bit. So reducing that need with there can be very useful. Now, number 9, Joseph. Similarly to the one we just saw, mostly for your investors. Why? Because he will provide with cigars and a small bonus income. But at this point, do you really need it? Mostly for cigars, which there comes mostly from the New World. So this is again a very important one to reduce, so you can have more space for your coffee and other New World's production. And then number 10, for your scholars, for those of you who have the latest extension of season 2, where they've introduced scholars and the research institute, the dean, the dean of Deansville University. There are not that many items that actually impact the scholar residence, but this one is quite a powerful one. One, increases your number of residents, which for scholar is important because you need as many as you can to reach first 250 the 250,000 limit without taking too much space. If you don't know much about the Research Institute and scholars, feel free to check out my video here on the topic. So the dean produces 20% more residents, also increases your research points, your happiness, and additional bonus resident from the university. So quite an interesting one. Now, we went through the top 10, and I told you sort of why I like them. We didn't discuss how to get them. So there's two ways to do this, and that's why I also want to talk about the asset viewer. So now in the game, you actually get quite a good asset viewer in the game. We're here, right? Because if you click on asset source, you can see, okay, that person I can get in the research institute, I can get it from traders, Jean de la Fortune and Emperor Ketema. I can also get it from Quest of Scholars. If we look on the other hand, if you remember earlier, I said the don't leave it needs to be transmute, because if we click on it, we can see it can be transmuted. You do get it in a few quests um, from Ornate, and some of the traders can have it, at least according to this asset viewer. What's a bit annoying here is you don't really see how much it will cost you. You don't really see if it's a quest, how often will you get it, etc. So that's where the asset viewer comes into play. Okay, I am back in the asset viewer. As you can see, I've this filtered for the Townhall. I can also filter for rarity if I want, or for which building. So for example, here I could put investor residence. And I can also just search, right? So let's again search for the don't leave it. And here what's interesting is a couple of elements. The first one is you see the expedition bonus. If you use that item in one of your expedition, what bonus will it give it to you? Will it give it to you? You also see the cost. If it's transmute, you see the transmute cost. If it's something else, so for example, brasserie, you see just the selling price where you can buy it. Then the interesting element is if you click here on these small arrows, then you'll get the actual percentage on how to get it from the different sources. So for this one, you can get it with an artisan quest, you can get it from different expeditions, you can get it from tourism, so when you have a public mooring, and the research institute. So this is quite powerful. My top 10, let me show you quickly where you can get them, so that if you really like, for example, Mr. Garrick, you know where to get it. top 10 specialists for the Town Hall in the Old World. I hope you liked it. If you think I missed anyone, any very important specialist that you love, or if you have any question, please do share in the comments below. And if you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to never miss anything else. Thank you for listening to the video today. StratGamer here.